Good evening, or good morning, or good afternoon, Twitch. That new 1440p, wowza. Yeah, my internet pipes are thick, like 3 C's thick with spaces in between. So it can tolerate that. Welcome to a somewhat different stream today. Definitely something a little bit different than usual. If you're here for the first time, welcome. And if you're here for the second or upteenth time, welcome back and thank you for joining. I'm Maddie, or Maddie Two Shoes, or Matthew, however you'd like to call me. I will accept most variants. I'm surprised I can watch it. Usually needs 720p, sadly. Oh, well, you can always scale it to your end, but I prefer to put it up in the best quality that I can. Which, I mean, it's actually a problem because I have a very ultra wide monitor, so I actually have to crop it so it's 16:9. Otherwise everyone would have to watch it at 32:10 ratio, which I did in the first stream, I think, or in my second stream, and that was a huge problem for a lot of people. So yeah, a little bit of a different stream today. If you have not been on my stream before, then I'll just explain briefly. I stream everything around data analytics, which includes topics like data engineering. Oh, the scaling only works for partner streamers. Everyone else only gets the scaling if servers allow it. Oh, interesting. I had no idea. I thought you could adjust it on your end. Oh dear. So I should consider people with less internet bandwidth, I suppose. That's a valid point. Dr. Dynamite, thank you for the follow. Much appreciated. We are well on our way to becoming, hopefully, affiliate within the next 10 days or so I can finally add those sweet channel points that you all have been waiting for. I have been desperately waiting for those channel points. It's really not about the monetization, let me make that clear. It's about the features that are gated behind affiliate. But anyhow, wow, 720p or some middle ground of 720 and 1080. Yeah, I could definitely look at that. 1440 is pretty high. Thank you for the follow, that noob. Much appreciated. So I do stream everything around data analytics. Oh wow, Pretzel just decided to change. That was very abrupt. And today we are looking at a data engineering topic. And data engineering is a bit of a, let's say it's a bit of a black hole for some people. Because oftentimes they'll just say, I need data from here, can you get it to me? And I find we should probably look into that process a little bit more. And so for the first time since I've started streaming, we're actually going to be looking at a data engineering flow in terms of, you know, where do I get data from? How do I get it there? What do I do with it once I have it? Where do I put it? What are some things I need to consider? All those kinds of things. And to do that, I thought it would be useful to show an example. I mean, not just an example flow, but to actually do it in practice and say, okay, this is totally how I would do it if I had the choice. If I was building a new company today, if I was starting a startup, for example, or, you know, something like that. how would I do it? What would I do? And I found this very, very interesting tool called Meltano. And that is what we're going to be looking at today. So let's jump in. This is a really interesting track that Pretzel has decided to surface for me. I'm on the surprise me station today, so if the music's too loud or too quiet, let me know. So this is Meltano. Meltano is a very, very interesting piece of software, from what I've gathered. Meltano is ELT, so extraction load transformation, commonly ETL, but I'll explain why they've written it that way, the other way around rather. And Meltano has the word ELT in it. That's probably why they've called it that. Meltano is a open source, self-hosted, CLI first, debuggable, extensible piece of software for data engineering. I mean, it's actually more than just data engineering. It's really about piping data around, whether it's from A to B or from A to B via C, or doing all that kind of stuff. And what is very notable about Meltano is that it is actually a project by GitLab, meaning that all of the code is contributable, which is really, really cool, because it means that if you wanted to expand on it, so for example, where was it here? If you wanted to expand on the code itself, you could do that. Now, I will make a huge disclaimer. I am not a programmer. Let me make that very clear. A lot of you who may be coming into the stream or watching might have a programming background, and you may cry at some of the things that I may write today. I apologize. I don't have a formal programming background. Most important to me is the output, like the end result. But of course, I want it to be, legible and things like that. And if I was doing this in a professional context, if I was doing this, for a company, or if it had to live somewhere where other people need to use it, we cry at things we write anyway. Well, that really, I'm relieved by that. Thank you. What I mean is that my code isn't really professional grade code, and yeah, I'm going to be doing this anyway just for myself, in the sense that we are going to run it locally. Trevor, nice to see you on stream. Looking at a maybe potential competitor of yours today, actually. I'm not even sure if they're a competitor. What's interesting about Meltano is it can be run in Docker. When I saw that, I got very excited, because I am a huge fan of Docker. I already run my Postgres instance in Docker. I've been running Metabase in Docker to do some visual work with the data that we've looked at on stream a few times. And seeing that you can run Meltano in Docker, ooh, that's a real dream. So what do I think so far? I haven't looked too deep into Meltano, but what I wanted to do today was basically just take it a bit for a test drive. Just to say, well, I've been playing around with different ETL or ELT tools. I'll come back to the two namings in a second. Oh, Trevor says you'll like Airbyte as well. Okay, interesting. Speaking of Docker, I need to install it on my Pi. So yeah, actually, Trevor, Meltano uses the Singer standard. So it's really interesting. I will come to the details in a moment as well. But one thing I really like about Meltano is they've done everything. They've really thought of everything from the get-go. They've basically thought of the fact, okay, it should be CI/CD, so continuous integration and deployment. You can use the open source Singer taps and targets, or you can write your own. We won't be writing taps or targets today. Yeah, so Singer is an open source standard, Singer.io. It's an open source standard for ETL. Let me just paste that in chat. Basically, writing scripts that move data around. It describes how to do these taps or targets. So taps are where you get data from, and targets are where you want to put them in a way. Airbyte is also Dockerized. That's interesting. I definitely would want to look into Airbyte. I haven't seen that one either. It's also open source. Yeah, so there's all these solutions popping up now, and it's really, really interesting because all of these solutions go against kind of what I used to think, which was, oh, well, to do ETL or ELT, you needed either a team of data engineers, or you had to buy a license for some tool that you wanted to host yourself, or you had to buy a subscription to a SaaS like Fivetran or Xplenty or any of those thousands of different SaaS solutions that are out there. And what I've found with these open source solutions, and I'm sure that there's quite a few, is that you can actually get this stuff running locally without any trouble, really. And for me, that's kind of interesting because we like to explore data, right? We like to see what we can find. And typically I've just been sort of downloading stuff from Kaggle, which is fine, but it would be so much cooler if we actually had pipelines running, right? It would be so much cooler if we could run stuff and then transform it in database, like in Postgres, not just having these final tables, like I've shown before, like not just having like these finished beautiful schemas that belie all the work that went into them beforehand, where you say, oh, you have all these beautiful playback events from Netflix, like how did you get them in here in the first place? Oh, that's my Docker's not running, sorry about that. So you see, I actually have also Postgres running in Docker. It's a special version called PostGIS, and yes, you can laugh at the name. I also laughed at the name a lot. Yeah, and so like, we kind of skim over the part about saying we need to get data in here somehow, and typically, downloading it is not a viable solution for companies looking to automate their data pipelines. It's just not, and that's why they have. That's why this software exists. So anywho, one point about, where did that go? So one point about ELT or ETL, because I think this is a very important philosophical thing. Prior to 2021, let's say, I would say probably good 20 years ago. So I was still very young. People who are older than me, please correct me as well if this is incorrect. But some 20 years ago, the classic version of moving data around was basically having very, very hard-coded pipelines moving data from one place to another, typically in database, MySQL, stuff like that. Cloud technologies were just starting to get popular. I don't know when Google Cloud came about, but like things like Amazon stuff didn't really get big till later. And basically, disk space and CPU and stuff were expensive. I mean, it still can be very expensive, but those things were a real premium. And so what they would do is they would extract data, so the E, and then they would say, oh, we actually don't need everything. We only need, I don't know, business aggregates for the last 7 days. So let's transform that data, so the T, ETL, and then load it into where we need it. So in memory, they would work with the full data set, but actually in storage, because you would pay for memory, but it's a lot more fluid, right? So in storage, they would only store what they actually really needed. But as disk price or storage space started really coming down, and there's enough charts on the internet to see the drastic change in CPU cost and disk storage cost, and just in general the availability that came about in sort of this digital revolution, this started to change to the other way around, to ELT, where, okay, let's extract what we need, but then let's load everything and then transform it later. And this is a huge difference, because typically the transformations being applied to data are only what you know that you need today. You can't kind of see into the future. I mean, we can't yet. Prediction is good, but not that good. So we're not able to see everything we're going to need in the next 10 years. So typically the transformations applied were based on what we know today. And then sometimes it was like, oh, well, actually we need this, but we don't have it in our pipeline yet. So let's go adjust the pipeline. And then, and that's a lot of work. So basically ELT is saying, okay, disk space, dirt cheap, CPU, negligible, having this stuff running, like paying for, I don't know, cores or all that kind of stuff, basically paying processing costs are so negligible compared to, is it 10 rows of data or 10,000 rows of data? It's not a huge difference. And when you're talking about like a difference between maybe 10,000 and 10 million rows, okay, maybe then. But generally speaking, the best practice now has become extract, load, and transform. So capture as much as possible, load it where you need it. I mean, don't duplicate it unnecessarily, and then apply the transformation. And that has driven also a new kind of generation of tools where transformation has become necessary to document, because transformation is no longer happening before loading the data. It's happening afterwards in hundreds of thousands of different ways. And so that's where tools like dbt come in, where they allow you to model your data based on business criteria, right? Typically in SQL or something like that. And they allow you to have these models, and I'll just link dbt here so that you can follow along if you'd like to read. dbt allows you to basically document the transformations that you're doing to your data after you've loaded in warehouse or wherever you're loaded it into, in database essentially. And this is very, very interesting because Meltano has, and I'm sure others as well, have accounted for this. So they've accounted for this entire flow, if you will. So yeah, I've done enough talking. I'm going to actually today aim to get Meltano up and running in a Docker instance, to pipe in some data from somewhere into my Dockerized Postgres container, which should be interesting. It should be interesting. I'm sure that we will have lots of challenges today. But yeah, if you guys have questions or comments or anything, just plop them in the chat and let's get started. So first we want to do is we want to get started. So let's start with documentation. They also have a Slack community, which is very cool. It's said to be very active. I like that all these Slack communities are really active and helping out each other. So if you are interested in platforms like this, then if you're really on board with the idea and you want to take it for a test drive, then it's also good to join these communities and be able to ask questions and stuff. It's better than live support, in my opinion. By the way, that noob, what do you want to run Docker on your Pi for? On your Raspberry Pi? Curious what you plan to use that for. Are you doing one of those what do they call them? Those weather monitoring thingies where you have like a mirror and then you put a screen behind the mirror in your front hall so you can see what's on your day plan and stuff, and runs on a Raspberry Pi typically. I actually had an idea for that project once, but I trashed it after seeing the size screen I would need. So we have the mission, singer, focus, blah blah blah, roadmap. blah, blah, blah. Installation. Pi is less power to use Docker for all sorts of stuff without starting the power-hungry PCs. Ah, okay. That's interesting. That makes sense. If you need to run stuff 24/7, then of course it's very great. It's very good to run it Dockerized on a Pi versus running it on like a full-fledged MacBook Pro like I'm doing. I mean, I use my laptop day in, day out, so it's not such an issue, but yeah, that's an interesting thing. Definitely. Recent versions of Linux and macOS are both fully supported, but Windows is not. So this is local installation. We could do the local installation. Oh, look at that. Harris Heller has a song playing. I watch his YouTube sometimes. Also, my Mac Air is already at the limit. It needs some memory CPU space. Yeah, I ordered my MacBook Pro, 2019 MacBook Pro, the 16-inch, with like almost maxed out specs because I knew I was going to be torturing it. I didn't know I was going to be streaming at the time I ordered it, but I'm glad I did go for the 64 gigs of RAM because yeah, I've never run out of RAM, which is nice. So there is a virtual environment for Meltano, which is perfect. So we can use one of their pre-built Docker images because I am super lazy. I'm not going to want to install everything myself, which is nice because it has Meltano, which all the stuff is there. So basically, to get the latest version of Meltano, pull the latest tag, blah, blah, blah. So this is pretty easy. We're going to open up a terminal and we just do docker pull Meltano using default tag latest, which is fine. So this will take a few seconds to download. For Streambeats Harris Heller, you can use Spotify for free if you want to remove the Pretzel Rocks chat message. Oh, I wanted, thanks for the suggestion. I saw Streambeats, which is really cool. I think that's a really great solution that he came up with. But I actually like having that people can see what I'm listening to. I mean, I know that there's like plugins and stuff for Spotify where you can show like the now playing and stuff. But I kind of like how Pretzel's just, hey, this is what's playing now. I think it's kind of cool. That being said, it does get a bit noisy maybe at some point. But at least, you know, if no one's chatting in chat, at least Pretzel's there to keep me company. So that's also nice. Sometimes it gets a bit quiet. So this is finished. This is nice. So now we can check what version was installed. I mean, it's not that important, but we can just see, just in case it comes up later. Also like a double check, make sure it installed properly. Yeah, 1.69, nice. So we have to initialize a project. So once we have Docker installed and running, we can check if it's running. Okay, so it exited again, which is interesting. Oh, instant exit. It might have done its job. We'll have to see about that in a second. I've had this issue before. But let's see what happens. We have to initialize a... Once you have Docker installed, running, and have pulled the pre-built image, you can use Meltano just as you would in our Getting Started guide. But the command line syntax is different. Okay. So I need to make a little project directory for this. So that's cool. Let's make a little project directory. All right. So we will make a little project directory. I should initialize this in GitHub first, but I can sort this out later. We can call this Meltano. I don't know. Run 1. Maybe we should give it some cool name. Any name suggestions, feel free. Let's call it Meltano backwards. So Onat Lem. Let's call it Onat Lem. Maybe it's a shitty name, I don't know. So we have project. All right. So let's get back to our terminal here. So cd okay, so there's nothing in here, that's fine. So we have to docker run v. What's pwd? Pwd. Let's create a new Meltano project. This is weird. Why? I don't understand the syntax. Docker run -v. I've never seen this syntax. Why is the dollar here? Oh, hi Lily. PWD tells you where you are in your directory. Okay. But I don't need to type this out, do I? I'm already in my directory. Or what I mean is that what path I'm on. Docker run -v / oh, this is because that's because of the syntax here is a little bit different. Well, I'm gonna cheat, I'm just gonna copy it. So docker run projects Meltano init. We're gonna call this, I don't know, new project 1, because that's a great name. That looks positive. So yeah, that's cool. Okay, so it did that. Perfect. Thank you for your help, Lily. So if we go to localhost, we actually should see it running. No way. That's not possible. Oh, you see? It already exited it again, which is weird. Oh, right, we have to start. I didn't follow the instructions as usual. I tend to jump ahead. So I can cd into my project. Okay. So cd new project 1. And now we can start the Meltano UI. So docker run, oh my god, I'm just gonna copy this again. Super cool. I'm sure that we can containerize this afterwards so that we can always run it like my Postgres container. I don't remember how I did that, so I can't resize this window. Sorry, it's just gonna have to be off screen a little bit. So docker run project 5000 Meltano. Yeah, fine. Cool. So the UI command is the default command. Ah, now available at 5000. That was easy. Let's see what it looks like. Oh, super cool. How easy was that? Would have been easier if they had a Docker Compose. Yeah, then I would have just done Docker Compose up, right? That's what I do with my hobby recipe website. I actually built that on Jekyll. I want to show that on stream sometime. This is quite cool. It's alive indeed. What do we think? I think that was pretty cool. I mean, obviously they pre-wrote all the code for us, but I think that was pretty easy. So that's nice. What do we do next? So now that you're running it, you can set up your project by following the getting started. Note that whenever you're asked to run the Meltano command, you will want to run it through docker run as the snippet above. Okay, that's very important to note. Troubleshooting. No, that's fine. All good. This is super cool. I thought this was a very good guide for someone who's a noob like myself. And that noob, of course. Just playing on your username there. Yeah, I think this was a really well-written, that's a tongue twister right there. A well-written guide. So let's look at the getting started. That's fine. Now I want to run a pipeline. Ooh, okay. So the project, oh, extractor. We need to do the extractor. So now we have an extractor. So these are the available extractors. I actually hadn't thought about where we're gonna get data from it. I don't know, let's just do Google Analytics. Why not? Unless someone wants to write a different one. There were no good names left when I created it, and before I came to science and tech, I still am a noob in games, so that noob was chosen. But without underscores, still no names were available. Oh, I feel your pain, that noob. Trust me, how long I waited for an answer from Maddie Two Shoes without the underscore to see if he would be willing to change his username on Twitch, seeing as he wasn't really using it probably, at least not to stream. I waited for so long for an answer and it never materialized. So in the end I gave up and I said, fine, I will just do the underscore. But yeah, I've seen so many people post about, should I change my Twitch username? The URLs are everywhere, blah, blah, blah. You keep getting... Oh, Lily, I'm sorry to hear that you keep getting us confused. Welcome to the underscore club. Is it an exclusive club? Like, when people say welcome to the club, do they mean exclusive clubs? Or is it just in general, welcome to the club for anything? But I'm happy with it. Honestly, like, Twitch isn't my, main thing. It's a great hobby, but it's not the main thing, so I'm not too unhappy about it. So obviously we could do like a CSV, everyone with underscores. We could do a CSV. Let's just do Google Analytics. I mean, there's some cool ones in here already, and of course you can add, any singer tap and your own, of course. The real Maddie Two Shoes. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, people don't really type out usernames. Only if they're looking for you and don't know your exact URL or something. Or they know, like, they've heard it and they don't know exactly what it is. I don't know. I feel like if someone searched on Twitch, I mean, like, discoverability on Twitch is a whole topic on its own, but I feel like if someone searched Maddie Two Shoes, then my channel would come up first. I mean, I don't know what it's like searching as someone else, so I don't know, let's just do Google Analytics. So does it start some configuration thing? Oh wow, that is... What? This is really cool. So I need to actually make... Oh, it's via API. I thought it would be OAuth. So Lily, you like that idea, huh? The real Maddie Two Shoes. Maybe I'll change it. We could start a poll at some point when I have enough viewers. First objective is get to affiliate so I can get those damn channel points up and running. I don't feel like setting up Google Analytics secrets for this. What can we do that's super easy? BigQuery, I don't have any data in BigQuery. Oh, you know what? We'll just add Postgres. I'm again my name here. Would this be also used for big data, or is this something completely different? And those damn emotes. Oh, you could use this for any size of data. Absolutely. Like there's nothing wrong with saying, oh, you know, I want to use an open source software like this for 10 million rows of data per hour. Absolutely no problem. I mean, shit, so many companies use Airflow. Airflow's open source. So, you know, why not? So we just have to connect to our Postgres, which is great because I don't remember the login credentials for Postgres. But the nice thing is we can just go take a look. Where's the properties for this connection here? Where was it again? There we go, properties. We can just go look at the properties. Postgres, and the password is hidden. Me that only hears about big data and I think I've never seen big data, I just can't understand what that what that is. Well, there isn't like an agreed on definition, you know? I would say big data is just a lot of rows. That's like, I don't even know if there's a better definition. I have to figure out what the password is. How would I do that? Anything impossibly big to clog up your machine. Yeah, if you can't run it locally, it's big data. Exactly. That's a good definition. I mean, my limit locally was something like 12 million rows, which I thought was pretty substantial, to be honest. Password is hidden. Come on. Okay. JetBrains. JetBrains is in the keychain. Not working locally, big data. Thank you. No problem. No problem, noob. I'm going to open up my keychain, and for that we gotta do some blurry stuff because I don't want you guys to see all my keychain stuff. That would be a big no-no. So JetBrains, what's it called? Data grip? Oh my gosh. Yeah, oh right, it's IntelliJ something. There we go. Last modified 12th February. What's this one? So you should not see anything. I mean, you should see stuff, but you won't be able to won't be able to adapt this stuff. Oh, is that really the password I did? Let's see. This is really it. I'm gonna slip this back. It's a great effect. I got it from Coding with Luce, although I think she changed her username actually. Postgres is the DB name, I believe. Because I was extremely creative when setting up this database. Filter schemas? No. Max run, logical pull, break at end LSN. I have no idea what this stuff is. We're just gonna leave it the way it is. Let's test it. This is super cool. Oh, invalid extractor connection. Yeah, I haven't, like, I don't think that was the right password, let's be honest. Date modified. Oh, man. I could probably look it up. Jesus, man. I'm gonna have to type my password like 20 times today, which is super annoying. Okay. What about this one? Yeah. I'm so worried that I won't be able to find it now, and that would be super bad. Because if we can't find out this password, we are so screwed. I really hope it's not that. Too bad. Oh, it could be that one. Let's try this one out. Invalid. Okay. Test. Oh dear. This is not a good progress so far. So, this is not great. Not great at all. We have a connection to this database, and we need to figure out I mean, it saved it. It had to. And you said you're not a developer. That's still the daily struggle of a dev. Is it really? Finding passwords for things? Oh man. I pity you guys, honestly. I really do. I mean, in a way, I am a dev, right? Because I develop solutions to problems, sometimes with code. So, you know. Oh, I really hope it's not this one. Terrible password. Ugh. 80% thinking about code issue and program issues. Why isn't it working? What about the other 20%? That's the real question. Oh man, I really hope it's not that one, but we can try. Test connection. Please work, honestly. Oh. This is not good. Not good at all. I had a scribble somewhere. 15% code structure, 5% coding. Oh yeah. This sounds a lot like my day though. Maybe I am a developer. I know there's this really great Twitter account. I am developer or something like this. This guy. And these are really cool. Like most of these are most of these one of us. Are you chanting one of us in the background? So how are we gonna solve this password issue? I wonder if I can figure out if I'm on Postgres, there must be a way to actually figure out in the Postgres instance what password is set for the user. But I don't know where that is. Find Postgres password Docker. If I end up on Stack Overflow, now I'm a true developer, right? There's an environment file. It's being set on entry point. Can you check your entry point? Yeah, it's an environment variable, but I want to know. Oh, come on. I want to know where it is. Ah, this Docker entry point.sh. What was it to open? I think it was touch. Oh wait, I have to go back up. Touch docker entry point .sh. No, touch was something else. What was the command for open? Open docker entry file in terminal. I think it was nano or something like this. I don't want to. Nano docker entry point .sh. Oh, I'm really stuck on this one. There must be an easier way to get this out. Okay, docker compose. Define as shown in docker compose.yaml. What if it has no password? Oh, could I have... Oh, that would be bad. What if I specify... Oh no, I had to specify the password. There's no way I wouldn't have specified a password. So what I've been trying to do is Stack Overflow my way to figuring out how to open the entry file. So there's this docker entry point.sh, which is the script, but I am not sure of the right command to open it. Okay, we're just gonna do it. Open file sh terminal. Yeah, I don't want the GUI method. Blah blah blah. I want to edit the VI? Yeah, but that... Ah, here we go. I successfully shelled to a Docker container. I use Confluent Postgres. Vim? Oh, really? Oh, that's cool. Or use the following Docker file. There's no default editor set. We could try this. Dangerous, but let's try it. I haven't backed up my Postgres container yet. But you know, good time to try this out. Do you want to continue? What do I want to do? Yes, more disk space. Okay. And now we apparently should have Vim installed. Docker Vim open file. Docker run blah blah blah. Okay. So now I got Vim. Command. Oh, you just say Vim, right? Okay, let's try this. So Vim docker entry point.sh. Oh yeah. We have to look for this thing now. There will be somewhere in here. Print large warning if Postgres user loads various settings. Where would this be? Unset PG password. I probably can't search on this either. So we'll just have to read it until we find Postgres user, Postgres DB, file environment, Postgres password. I'm afraid that I didn't set one, and that would be very bad. This doesn't look very positive, chat. Which is unfortunate. Blah blah blah. Oh, I could just change the user's password as well. Oh my gosh. I have to exit this. I didn't do the right combo. I don't want to overwrite my Docker container. That would be very bad. Ah, so this is our Meltano container. We can get rid of these, which is fine. We can change the password. Postgres docker change password. We could do that. Changing DB password in Docker composition. Stop all containers. Change database password. Yeah, great. Thanks for the super helpful suggestion. Okay. Alter password. Ah, here we go. Here's the part of my Docker entry point file. Alter role. Actually, we could alter the password in DataGrip. Is that possible? Should be possible. Because we could alter user. Alter user Postgres. Okay, that's could be the easiest way. Let's check if we can do that, chat. That would be the easiest way. Alter user Postgres with password. Now everyone gets to see my password. It's great because it's only running locally, so I'm not too concerned. Rejected. Password authentication failed. Oh. I think that might have worked. Ha! Okay. I think we have solved the issue. We have used the almighty password. Why is it not working though? Invalid extractor connection. Ah, I know why. Because the host is not localhost. This is something very specific. Let me just 1 sec. I gotta get rid of this. Gotta get rid of this keychain stuff. Yeah, so this is kind of specific, but when you run Docker, yeah, Postgres is on Docker as well. And when you run Postgres on Docker, the containers can speak to each other, but, I mean, because Postgres is exposing itself, via this domain here. And I had a problem with Metabase that it didn't know that Docker on Mac uses a special localhost exposure. And in order to figure that out, the easiest way is to actually just fire up Metabase, because that's where I have the connection setting. Like I said, today was going to be a very different stream. Definitely something else. Come on. Blah, blah, blah. So this is Metabase, which is like some open source BI tool, which I like a lot. Yeah, I don't need to save that. He says, having forgotten his Postgres password. Account settings, admin. Yeah. So there's here these databases, Postgres, and there's this password here. And you see this host, Docker for Mac localhost. And this is a very, it's a special way that Docker exposes the localhost address. And that's why it's not finding it, I'm assuming. That's probably the problem. 5432. Password is that. DB name is called Postgres. This should be right. I wonder why that's not working. Invalid extractor connection. Well, if we can't get into Postgres, maybe we could just set up a different database. No, I don't want to save that. Or it was... Oh, that's cool. It has like a little configuration saved here. Also, Analytics. It knows that you started it. That's nice. Let's try this again. 5432, Postgres, our amazing secure password, and our DB name. Filtershime is, I don't know. Whichever replication mesh method you think is good. Invalid extractor connection. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. It's a bit weird. Let's try this. So we could exit admin. Don't add me. Postgres, I don't know. Ah, yeah, so it definitely works. Like, See here, this is like stuff that I hadn't loaded yet into Metabase. So this is most definitely working. So it has something to do with this. I mean, your comment, that noob, about the containers not being able to speak to each other would be invalidated by this unless Meltano can't go out, but that doesn't make sense because they've designed their container to do exactly that. I don't know. Let's give it one last go and see. Maybe it's like an SSL thing or something. Or we just save it without testing the connection. That could also work. Connection saved. Oh. I mean, it saved it. Now we would create a pipeline. Oh wait, what about the loader? So extraction, load, and then a pipeline. So we add this to a project. Oh, there's different ones. Okay. Well, we'll just add the standard one. So there's some kind of loader configuration. Oh wow, okay, so Postgres. Yeah, load schema. And this is all the stuff you can set before and after SQL runs. Cool stuff. Is it actually running? Yeah, it is running. Okay. We can shut down Metabase. I can hear my MacBook screaming at me. Why? Why you do this? It's still doing something in the background, that's for sure. Still doing something here. I'm not sure what it's doing, but I will wait. I will be very, very patient. Indeed. Schema needs to be entered. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Lily. The schema would be... good question. Which one should we take? Which data set should we pull from? Maybe we should pull I don't know, Swiss Topo, I think. Seems like that. Seems like a good one. Swiss Topo. It didn't give a connection error, so that's cool. Okay. So I have a loader. 0 pipelines. So I have an extractor, a loader, and then pipelines. Okay, let's create a pipeline. So we want to extract Postgres, load Postgres. We want to transform. We can just skip in this case. Once, manual. Postgres to Postgres. Okay. Oh, wait a second. We made a mistake. The loader is where it's going into. Kiwi Gamer, how are you? Nice to see you. We have to actually make a new schema, I think. Meltano doesn't actually exist yet. Good to hear that you're doing well. We're just creating a new schema here. Meltano. just to make sure it exists. Okay. So this is my loader. So let's see, what will happen now? Pipeline. We don't have any pipelines, so let's create one. Extract Postgres. Okay, it's not the coolest use case, right? I mean, we're taking data from Postgres and dumping it in Postgres, but it's just to see how this works, right? Skip once. We could schedule this already, which would be nice. Could always keep my data up to date, imagine. So Postgres to Postgres, that's fine. All right, manually run this pipeline once. Okay. What is going to happen? Oh, see, there was an error. The error was, there's this run log, which is opening. This is very odd. This log should not be that big. I mean, the pipeline barely ran at all. Also, the start date of a day ago is a bit weird. Okay, I think we'll just download the log. So let's do that. New file. Oh, really? Why did it do that? Undefined job log is empty. Okay. Not cool. So there is a pipeline here. Cool. I mean, so far so good. It's just not working. Changing these settings does not result in deletion of data that has already been imported. That's right. It does not. Okay. I think it's the connection causing the problem, to be honest. Yeah. So let's do something else. Let's do like this. Let's do like this. Street index, export data to file. Let's just dump this, because it has a good amount of data, 200,000 rows. And let's just add a generic CSV connector, just to see how this works. Settings with array values cannot be managed in the UI. Okay. Files. CSV files definition. Project relative path to JSON file. Oh. Ooh, okay. What are you studying, Kiwi? Are you still doing, is it for the math competition? I think you were talking about that last time, right? Basic bio. Spreadsheets anywhere. Okay, let's try this. Maybe we can just upload it. Spreadsheets anywhere extractor. Tables. Oh, array holding objects that each describe a set of targeted source files. Oh, okay. That's not as easy as I thought it would be. Or MySQL? I mean, obviously, if this was running in the business context, I'd have all this stuff, but I don't have this stuff. Let's just do the CSV thing. I think that's the easiest. So my theory is that the host needs to be specified like in their documentation, something like export custom name. Lily, you're talking about the Postgres host connection. This one. Yeah. I mean, it should be able to access this because, oh yeah, this is like basically this interface here is setting this stuff in the Meltano config. So you can actually, they're like showing you the documentation in line. So when I set something here and press save, it's actually saving it. It's a good point though. It's actually saving it. We can terminate this. Where are we? What's this? Oh right, yeah, this is let me just start a new window here. It's actually saving it within the, what's it called? Within the project file. So in this new project folder, so you have a corresponding env file with the same host name. I have a I'm just gonna put this over here or something. I have this. I'll show you. So this this will be in the meltano.yml file in this one here. So if I just go ahead and open that, I can actually show you. My mouse is doing weird stuff today. In 1 second. I think the battery is giving up. It's a good thing it's not an Apple mouse, because then I wouldn't be able to use it. Wow. Oh, we actually have it open already. Yeah. So we have this meltano.yml. Yeah, so there's all this stuff here, you see? These are all the stuff that I've attempted to see. This here, config, host, Docker for Mac localhost, user Postgres, and it saves, I don't know, it saves the passwords in a secret file probably. But yeah, I mean, basically, I don't know if they have a thing. We can try. I mean, maybe they have a thing for... Isn't it linked to your database host name in your local database config? I actually don't follow what you mean by that, sorry. I mean, basically, Postgres is also running in Docker on localhost. But that didn't work with just localhost, or did it? I actually don't remember if we tried. If we just try localhost, this is not going to work, I'm guessing. Yeah, there's some invalid extractor connection. Filter schemas is scan only the specified comma-separated schemas to improve the performance of data extraction. What's break at end LSN? Stop running the tab if the newly... Okay. Troubleshooting. Maybe they have a thing. Meltano, Postgres, Docker. Let me see if there is a... Ooh, build a Slack dashboard. Cool idea. So Slack into Meltano into Postgres. Okay, so you just add a loader, fine, target Postgres. Localhost. Registering a Postgres database in superset. Aha, right, yeah. That's pretty nice, actually. I mean, really, that's kind of cool. Whoa, that's a lot of chart stuff. I mean, I mean, it's pretty awesome if it works, I think. But I have some issues with connectivity, which I didn't expect, really. Didn't expect that to be the thing. Otherwise, Docker MySQL image. Adding a custom extractor. So let me take a look at what you sent here, Lily. Tap Postgres, discover property state, DB name host, password. We could do that. We should then update meltano.yml and add the configuration parameters this tab needs to run. In the extractors. Okay. We can do that. So we can add this but where do we, they want us to run this in, where do we run this actually? Not entirely sure where to run this. And create an environment file in your project directory. Oh, well, we could look at the environment file. It's actually a good point. So there should be an environment file. Yeah, my database is not standalone. Basically, my database is not standalone because it's running within Docker itself as well. So there should be an environment file in my project directory. So in extract, interesting. Where would this env file be? Well, let's try this out. Tap Postgres 0.61, discover blah blah blah. So settings, DB name, Postgres, host is Docker for Mac localhost. Could be a compatibility issue. I mean, oh yeah, I might have that. Docker for Mac localhost. Yeah. Password. Super good password, guys. 5432, and user is also called Postgres. Oh, so we have an issue because I'm not in Meltano. I would actually be in, oh yeah, it would be in here, but I think it somehow had some kind of issue. Let's try it here, like this. Oh my gosh. Loose! Oh dear. Hardcore raid. Welcome everyone. What a raid. We are fighting with Postgres for Mac right now. Oh no. What a great moment to raid though. You guys really picked your timing. You're the one who's famous. You made me famous. So I didn't have a choice in the matter. Did you ask for consent actually, Panther, to use my face on your banner? But actually you totally have it. It's the real Matty Two Shoes. Yeah, maybe that's good. Might stick a little bit, noob. So the issue we're having is that I can actually access my Postgres database via, I mean, I can access it via other stuff, but it does not seem to be working within Meltano, which is don't need consent. There's no expectation of privacy for posting in a public channel. Oh, I've been schooled by Sociable Steve, but it's true. Somewhere in Twitch's extensive terms and conditions, I'm sure something like that is to be found. I am, in German we'd say, standing on a hose, which is like an expression for you're stuck. You know, you are absolutely stuck and don't know how to go further. I mean, in theory, I like what they've done. I would have liked to get to the point where there is the pipeline running and then I can just explore it somehow. There's all these like saved collections and stuff, which I have not looked into yet. Oh wow, they have reports? What? Oh, I see. So they've already actually built reports based on the Google Analytics tab. That's actually kind of cool. Didn't know that they would do that. I didn't read you are from Zurich. Hello from Germany. Oh, I didn't realize that you're from Germany, that noob. I mean, I'm not originally from here. I live here. How often do you live? I mean, how long do you have to live somewhere to be then from there? I find it always a bit strange to say where you're from as well. Aren't we all from just Earth? So I don't know. I mean, what was the thing? Show hidden files. macOS Finder. There was a command for it. Shift something. Sociable. Steve, I'm not from just Earth. Wait. List an array from where you are from. Command shift period. Yeah, that's the one. So let's look in this folder. Although I thought I had hidden files available. Ah, secret files appear. Yeah, amazing. Like that's totally what I wanted to see. Well, that's all the Git stuff. I mean, it's not. Yeah, I mean, that's all they're saving. I mean, the other stuff really, like, there's probably some. Maybe it's an issue with the dots or something. I mean, it sounds stupid, but I don't know. Just put it in single quotes. This is the extractor. Earth simulation 183. Oh, I see. So you've already been in the other simulations. Does that mean the simulations have been cross-pollinated? That sounds messy. Reminds me of what's that show where they keep going back to try and change things that happen in the timeline? Timeless, I think it is. Yeah, I don't know what problems this will cause if I just restart this. Does it take it from the YML file? That's the question. Very, very frustrating. I will tell you that. You can't test the connection on loaders. Not available for loaders. I guess it has no data. No, just the other 182 all failed. This one is doing much better. Really? Like, I was surprised you say that, considering that we've been in a pandemic for over a year. But okay, okay. I dread to think what the other 182 simulations were doing like. Memo, you're not late. You're just in time, depending on what you wanted to see, of course. You've almost made it through. Oh no, so the simulation will end soon. Oh. How dire. How dire. I am racking my brain because what I'm thinking of doing is just using MySQL instead. Imagine that. Just to check if it's like a connection thing with Docker. Because I could just open a MySQL database and that's it, you know. So let's do that. So okay. Yeah, thank you so much. This is weird stuff. So Docker run name. Yeah, that's fine, MySQL. My secret password. Let's do the usual secret password that we've been using on stream so far. Fine. Oh, double, didn't even notice that one. Double $. And I did apologize in advance for my terrible code. So... Wait, what? What is this? This is their official documentation. The tag is... Oh, it should be latest. Gosh. Honestly. So we should be able to get a nice little MySQL Docker container running here. And then... There it is. Now we can figure out if that's working. What port does MySQL run on? Everything, dude. Will you perhaps share the preset containers afterwards? If I get stuff running, I promise to share everything. I'm not even sure where to share it, to think about that. I can certainly plop them in the description of the VOD on YouTube. I can link to Google Drive or something. But. So 8080. Let's try and plop some data into there first. So we need a new connection. New data source. MySQL. The host is localhost. Let's hope this works. 3306. Really? That's good to know. User is, I assume, root. Database. Did we specify that? I think it's just called... I don't even know. Does anyone know? Is it just called MySQL? I don't know. Let's just test without... Connection refused. I don't know standard MySQL stuff. Why would I know that? I never work with MySQL. Start a MySQL instance, blah blah blah. Environment variables, MySQL database, name of the database, blah blah blah. If a user password was supplied, that user will be granted super user access. I would love to know what the default is. Looks like it is MySQL, remembering from my old game server hosting days. I accept all your cookies right now because I have no patience. Yeah, looks like it is MySQL. I would have assumed the same. But what is the default user? That's a system database. Well, like, now that I've set this up, like, they should have told me supported architectures, MySQL. So if I run this without anything, then it should have used the default definition for the name of the database, which is root. I actually don't know. Could be root. I used root user. MySQL. I mean, I need to figure out the credentials so that I can just dump the stuff in there. Maybe we make it better because we can just use more tags. With this, like, MySQL database. Because then we could specify the database name. And MySQL user. So let's do like that. So it's time to kill the Docker container, people. We are going to murder him. We're gonna murder it. Goodbye. So let's try this again. Docker run, name some MySQL, that's fine. Dash E, what was dash E again? Dash E was all the environment variables. Exactly. So Sociable Steve has predicted my move, which is creating the Docker container with a user pass and database. So we're going to do MySQL user equals root. I think we need to specify multiple variables. I think we can do it this way. And then we can do blah 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 MySQL database equals any funny database names. Maybe we'll just call it K8. Yeah, so repository name must be lowercase. It doesn't like that because I made a typo here. Oh, it wants the E. It wants the E after every single one. So I have to specify that it's a variable after each of these things, apparently. I think. Yep. Alright, so we said now we can do this. I hope. So let's bring up our little terminal. I don't know if we need this. You need a dash E per environment variable. Ha! I love that I figured that out. But thank you for your support, Steve. So we need root I obviously set the best password I could have set, and my database is called K8. Test connection. Wow, it still failed. That's weird. I wonder if it's not the right host. Docker for Mac? Is it not exposed by default? Oh. Oh. Is it not exposed by default? Okay. What's the... Ah, right. It'll expose the same Docker logical network by default. Yeah, that's right. I had the same issue with my Postgres container. The question is, what's the environment variable for MySQL for the port? Look at that. MySQL TCP port, if I had to guess. Ah, you can do it with -p. Ah, now light bulbs are going off. I do vaguely remember doing this. So let's do -p. We're just mapping 3306 to 3306, yeah. That is... Ah, yeah. So now there's this port mapping down here as well. Okay. This seems like it should work. Ha! We have success. Container to host, exactly. Thank you, Steve. Much appreciated. So this is now our Kate database. We have nothing in here, but we will just import something. We'll just import the stuff that we downloaded before. It's called Street Index. Thank you for your encouragement, Memo. Wait, Memorientis or Memorientis? I would love to know how to pronounce it possibly the right way. Where am I putting this? Street Index. In where? Ah, whatever, it doesn't really matter. We're just testing this stuff anyway. So we have a schema called Kate as well. Alright, let's go. Boom! Wonderful. So now we have the same stuff we had before, except it's not in Postgres. From Memento Mori. Ah, okay, cool. Very cool. Very, very cool. Alright, so now we have everything set up. Now we get to find out if it's a Docker thing. Oh, I wish Twitch would support inline GIFs, although it would be chaos. Absolute chaos in chat, let's be honest. MySQL. We're gonna figure out if this is now a problem with Docker, or a problem with Meltano, or who knows, or Postgres itself. So the user is root, password. Well, I don't know, I have seen a lot of Slack instances go a bit nuts. Filter DBs, no, we don't care. Why can I not test this? Is it testing it for me? Huh. Okay, I didn't even click test. I don't know if it's testing it for me or something. Okay. Some weird stuff happening here. You see, on the surface, Nothing is ever this easy as they write, in my experience. Very suitable music for what we're trying to do right now. Yeah, this is exactly that, Steve. So it's trigger in this sense just being time. There might be a way to trigger it based on certain input, so like data arriving in the system or something, but it's basic ELT stuff. Oh, okay, so I can now test the connection. I don't know if something came up before, I might have missed it. Click it! Don't tell me what to do. I am my own boss. That's why I'm here on Twitch after my workday, to be my own boss. Let's see. Ooh, invalid extractor connection. So now we don't know. We don't know if it's actually a Docker thing or a Meltano thing, but I would hazard the guess that it's a Meltano thing because I'm able to access the MySQL and Postgres database instances from DataGrip, as we saw before. So I'm able to access this one, and I can do the same with something in here. Exactly. This IMDb data, by the way, about movies. Because we went to the movies a few weeks back, Corona compliant, everything is closed, so we went to the movies virtually. So I'm assuming that there's some problem with Meltano connecting to other Docker containers out of itself, which is not apparent to me at the moment why that would be. Weeks? Lucky. Yeah, well, cinemas have been closed for I don't know how long now, since like October or earlier here. So this is frustrating because I would have liked to load something in here. Let's try with the CSV thing again. This might work. Without me going into super massive detail about Meltano's Docker container, because I don't know a lot about what their container is doing, so it would make sense. Oh, I clicked the wrong button here. It would make sense. I'm just gonna shut that down. I think if I stop it, it's gonna... Oh no, look at that. Now I have a MySQL container we could use for something. I actually don't know what it's doing, but I mean, yeah, I don't want to go into the whole rigmarole of what it's doing in the background. I think that's just nuts. Try with hostname some MySQL. Oh, you think that because it's not exposed? Okay. We can try that. And then we can try the CSV file if that doesn't work. So MySQL. I would love to like close these out again or something, because like if you click it once but you never want to actually use it, I guess you should just take it out of the YML file. So MySQL, we saved it. So let's call this some MySQL. I think that's the name we had. Yeah. If it's the host name, Steve, you are a legend. Just telling you in advance. I'm dubious. I'm skeptical. But it just maybe just maybe, might work. Oh, you could cut the tension with butter knife. No. Ah, that's so unfortunate. That's so unfortunate. But it was worth a shot. It's definitely worth a shot. Actually, now you got me thinking, maybe not the container name, but maybe... Wouldn't it just be easier to use some cloud database instead of self-hosted at this stage? It would. It would. Actually. Memo, that is a pretty nice idea. Give me 1 second to fill out some forms. There's also a -link parameter for containers to link. Yeah. I'm gonna get $300 for this. Do I need a data set? I have quite a few, so that's not such an issue. Sorry, just filling out address details. Cloud, well, this is the thing. Cloud hosted should work. But Memo, what data set would you suggest? Free trial. You pay for this service on a regular monthly basis via an automatic charge when your payment is due. Yeah. That pixelated screen looked familiar. Does it now? Because I did borrow it from someone. The idea, at least. Luz, are you still around? Because thank you very much for that, by the way. I don't have anything in BigQuery yet, but I will shortly. Oh, let's look for BigQuery. All right. So there's some public data in BigQuery, which is why Memo I don't necessarily need. Oh yeah, Bitcoin blockchain. Awesome. Block ID. This looks great. Let's query this. Select limit 1. I don't want to spend any money. You borrowed it from Luz, who borrowed it from me, who borrowed it from stitching together different blog articles. Credit where credit is due, my friend. Oh, this is nice. It's also nested. That's going to be fantastic. So we are going to use this data set. Blocks. Bitcoin blocks. Let's see how it does with that. I know that there might be an issue connecting to BigQuery because of the way my Google account is secured. Oh, god damn it. Oh dear. Streams. Array of objects. And here I was thinking BigQuery would be super easy, right? Oh man. Streams, credentials path, and start date time. Credentials. Client secrets.json. Activate Google BigQuery API section of the repositories. Quick and dirty DO database for learning. What's DO? Not sure what that is. What else could be cloud? Oh, DigitalOcean. I'm gonna do CSV. I think that's the easiest. Now I think it's the easiest. I didn't before, but now I do. So I've installed, now I need to configure the CSV definition. So in my files, I will have an entity, the file, and the keys. So the easier we make this thing, the easier for us afterwards. So let's go to Postgres and take a super easy one. I think it's this one is easy. Nobody believes CSV is easiest. What did CSV ever do for us? Yeah, I suppose. I suppose. I'm gonna make the easiest table ever. I'm just gonna do... Oh no, people are pronouncing death to CSV now. Please don't do it. I mean, they're super useful in a lot of cases. So we're gonna do PLZ and Kantonskürzel, which is just called Canton. Distinct, if I can spell it properly. Let's rename this postcode. Yeah, this is an easy one because it's just 3,000 rows. I love Monty Python. Okay, CSV is better than XLS. I agree with you 100% on that one. Otherwise it would be... Oh, yeah. If XLS was the proprietary format that everyone had chosen, I would be very upset. Okay, so we're gonna call this postcode CSV. 3,000 rows saved, wonderful. So now we need to go into our People's Liberation Front of NoSQL. Yeah, I mean, this does support MongoDB. Of course, any other unstructured DB would be supported. So where's this cool Meltano file? There it is. So we have to do something fancy with this file, apparently. There's a files thing. Gosh, we should get rid of all these crap ones. So let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this crap. Perfect. Spreadsheets anywhere? No, we don't want that one. MySQL, get rid of this crap. Get rid of this crap. All right. So we just have our tap CSV. Okay. Now what? Now we do config stuff. Variant Meltano. Here we go. Config. Files. Entity. Postcodes. So entity is entity name used as the table name for the data. Okay, that's fine. File. Extracting CSV. I'll be running, guys. It was fun chilling here. I'll catch you on Measure tomorrow, man. Sounds good. Sounds good indeed. Shoot me a DM. I'm not 100% sure who you are, Memo. But just shoot me a DM and we can have a chat as well. And thank you for joining, and good night. I will be calling it a night soon too. I just have to get this working. It's gonna bother me otherwise. The question is extract/things. So it definitely needs to be in the same folder. So this thing is... Where is this thing? The YML is here. So yeah, extract, we're gonna put it in here. That is the logical place to put it. There, postcode.csv. And it has two columns. Time for bed myself. Granddad Steve needs his beauty sleep. It doesn't come as naturally anymore. Well, thank you, Steve, for joining and your help. Most appreciated. Glad you guys stayed for so long after the raid. I'm going to finish this up, and then I will also call it a night. So we have file extract. Wow. Oh, thanks for the follow, Steve. Didn't realize you weren't following yet. Shame on you. Postcodes.csv. What did I call it? Oh, postcode.csv. All right. Keys. Fun part. Yeah, shame on you for not being a follower, honestly. It's disgusting, truly. The names of the columns that constitute unique keys for that entity. Okay, so we have postcode. What are they, comma separated? Like this? Postcode and canton, I guess. Oh gosh, wait. Okay. Each input CSV file must be traditionally delimited CSV, comma separated columns. Oh no, we've made a mistake. I don't know if these are comma separated. Yeah, we're going to find that out momentarily. But I think that also might be the case, Steve, that it's within the same brackets. Oh crap, these are with semicolons. But it's okay, no one has to know if we do it really quickly before the stream goes up. See? No one saw it. Perfect. You're probably right about that. Yep. See? No, it was comma all along. Don't worry about it. It's all good. So postcode canton. Now what? The first row is the header. Must have a valid format. Yeah, you can check the following files. Fine. Blah, blah, blah. Alternatively, manage environment. CSV file definition. I've done that. Oh, project relative path. No. That's fine. We're good. This is good. So now if we do CSV file. Ah, there we go. Test connection. Oh, valid extractor connection. Okay. So it knows. Can we write into Postgres? That's the question. CSV to Postgres. Skip. Let's try it out, people. Oh boy. Definite hype. We're running it. Let's see what happens. I don't remember what I put in the loader in Postgres, but I'm sure it will tell me if it ran successfully. And then we can go, oh, I'm guessing, yeah. I'm guessing Postgres-ish, the Postgres thing is the problem. But you guys get the idea, it's all good. End of stream, we're good. Nah, we can't leave it there. Postgres database loader. What I was thinking about Steve's comment about the name of the Postgres thing was, what if it's not the name of the container, but the ID of the container? Oh my god, I can actually see can actually see the details here. I had no idea you could do that. We spent like 20 minutes on that. Oh dear. I think that we can see the... Yeah, okay, great. I thought that we could see the actual container ID. I think that's with Docker PS. Why is there some suspicious stuff here? Suspicious Chatterjee. Yeah, this container ID is something that might be exposed. So let's actually try that. Post jizz with data. So I'm just wondering if it might be this. It might not be, but it's something to try out. And you know, it's worth trying because, well, we're here and trying stuff out. So I don't think it will work. Yeah, invalid extractor connection. So it's something I would probably write them and ask. And I'll see if I get an answer on that, because I am curious in knowing if it would work that way. Because it is exposed. That's what, you know, that's what really irks me, is like, this should work like this. But it doesn't. So yeah, I think we are slowly going to call it a night, because I don't know where to dump my stuff. I mean, I don't have, well, we can just have CSV, I guess. We can just say where to save it, I guess. Destination path. Relative to project root. So, I don't know, extract, transform. I don't know, just put it in load. Load slash where is this? Does it say? Could you do it by hosting a Postgres SQL database on Elephant SQL? I mean, I can install Postgres locally. I just don't want to do that because I don't want to bloat the underlying config of my Mac. That's why I've been running everything in Docker. And I can easily just stop this, right? And then it exits and I can always change the configurations. And but wait, what's Elephant SQL? I think I misread your question first, CJ. I mean, Elephant's just the standard Postgres deployment, right? Destination path, load.test1. Let's save this. So let's try it. I mean, how can I edit this? Can I not edit this pipeline? What the? Huh, okay. Weird. It's a site I've used to deploy Postgres databases for testing like this. Oh. Yeah, okay, I know what you mean now. Maybe. Maybe. I could see how this could be really cool. Definitely. Let's see if this works. I mean, there's no reason why this shouldn't work, but you never know. Oh, there's an error of some kind. What is the error? I get a feeling like the Docker version of this is a bit buggy. It's just my feeling though. It's just my feeling. Yeah, because like yeah, I also have very limited Docker experience, CJ, so don't worry. But No, I just think their Docker container is probably just not as refined as their actual build. This is what I'm thinking. But the software itself looks really promising. I think it's very powerful. It is really like bare bones ETL, right? It is really that. But I think it's super cool, and I would like to explore it more. But it is, yeah, it is a school night. Wow. You know. H4N3H. You'll have to help me with the pronunciation on that one. Thank you for the follow. If you're just joining, then what we've been looking at is Meltano, which is a open source ETL software, or ELT rather, which has embedded, Hane? Sorry for not knowing the pronunciation. Yeah, and basically it has all of these integrated features, and it's very promising. And I think we would need some more time to also get into transformation stuff with dbt. I will try and get the local databases working from Docker, because I think it should work. Like, there's no reason that if these two talk to each other, if I can get Postgres to talk to Metabase, then there shouldn't be any reason why Meltano can't talk to Postgres or MySQL on a technical level. It's just about understanding maybe this port 5000 is not a standard exposed port or something that it's able to talk to other Docker containers. But that is something I will take on my head to figure out, and maybe we will look at that in the next stream. Who knows? I do like to change things up and look at different stuff. Whatever tickles my fancy, you know. But that is going to be it for today. As it is a school night, you know. So thank you very much. Yeah, the Docker containers are both in the same network. They're all on my local machine, so they're definitely in the same network. So do thank you everyone for joining. For those who have stayed for the whole stream, I congratulate you. And I should be again streaming on Friday. Per the current schedule, it's always Monday and Friday, so to kick off the week and to sign off the week in a way, always at 9 p.m. CET, which is the most convenient time for me, but maybe inconvenient for people in the future from Asia or Australasia. But still, I think okay for US time zones. I'm not sure where everyone is tuning in from. I do get the feeling that most people here are either Europe time zone or late day time zone, but you never know. So do let me know if the time is great for you or terrible. And once again, thank you for joining and making today's stream also fun, despite it being very challenging for me, technically, and probably challenging for you to watch if you're a developer. I'm sorry in advance. From Brazil, very nice. Yeah, the time is probably quite convenient for you, actually. Time in Brazil, and then we were going to know. Yep, definitely quite convenient. So yeah, that's it for today, and I hope to see you next time. And in the meantime, if you have any suggestions, pop them into the suggestion box on my Twitch profile. Thanks again, and see you next time.